Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Tyrone Dukes here with iManagement Solutions. I have my phenomenal co-host, Loida Figueroa, and we have an awesome guest with you on the platform this afternoon. We have Dr. Shay Lillard from Shay's Seafood and Restaurant. And guys, she has some power pack information that she's going to share with you today. She has a plethora of information that she wants to share, and we want to just give her this opportunity to share this wealth of knowledge with you on today. Thank you, Loida, for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Shay Little, for joining us. And we're just going to go ahead and get started. Let's rock and roll, guys.
Let's do it.
Let's
All
do it.
righty. So, Dr. Lillard, I was born and raised about 45 minutes from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and I'm an avid seafood lover. And I'm just curious, what made you choose seafood as your platform in terms of the food that you offer your customers? Give us an idea of what made you choose seafood. I'm just curious about that.
Sure. So I have not eaten actual meat because it's controversy when you say meat and then seafood, but like chicken, beef, pork, and probably I want to say maybe 7 years or so. And throughout those times, did a lot of traveling, and my husband and I were big on going to like food truck events. And I realized that there were very few food trucks that catered to people who eat only seafood or pescatarians. And it was just like a light bulb kind of clicked like, there's a niche here, there's a void. And then moving forward, that just started maybe, 3 years into being a pescatarian. Then moving close to the whole COVID, I started really thinking of like ways to make money doing things that I actually love. And I found that it was the most, I guess the best time to start this business because everything was closed, but I was still able to get permits to operate outside. So I just like, I'm gonna go for it. But that's really where it started, just kind of walking around and seeing like there's really not many people or places that devote or cater to pescatarians.
Awesome. So I'm just curious. I know that you have these multitude of distribution methods, right? You have your food truck. You pretty much distribute your products in restaurants. Talk to us about that aspect in terms of, just give the audience an idea of the multitude of ways that they can obtain your food.
Sure. So again, once I started thinking about making this a business, I started to think about the many ways that you can sort of eat off of one sector of your business or aspect, I should say. And I didn't want to just think just short term, just a food truck, right? Because it's a lot of work in terms of having a food truck. There's nothing passive about it, and I'm always thinking long term of like how can I create some freedom. I can't be the person that's out there 7 days a week forever cooking, right? While I would love to, but I don't want to forever. So I started thinking of all these ways that I can um, make this live on without having to always be involved. So the first thing is once I started cooking, everyone was like, "What is this season with? Like it tastes like New Orleans." Everyone is always talking about like it tastes so southern, and I'm from upstate New York, so but my family is from the South. So that was like again a light bulb. Okay, seasoning immediately. It's time to package this, sell this, put this into stores. But first, I started just selling it on the streets while I was on the food truck. And it was kind of flying. I'm like, well, that's good, but it's only selling when I'm out here. So I started thinking of how can I get this into stores? And that's actually when I met Loida. I think the being member of the Chamber of Commerce, well, that's how we connected. But I started to post about these seasonings. So that was how that happened. Then I started to also think of other ways, getting them into stores and then eventually putting them into my vending machines as well and making
Yes.
that connection. Um,
Yes.
so yeah, and Lord has been on me
I
about this.
can't wait for that.
Yeah, so the thing with and I'm probably just kind of speeding through this process. So right now, you can get them e-commerce, of course, on my website, Shay Seafood and Soul. You can get them in stores, Fola International, Produce Village. But we're working on some other stores. But the idea is to ensure that people can get my product without me having to be there to sell it, if that makes sense.
It does. And ladies and gentlemen, listen, she's utilizing Loida to help in this distribution process. So already know that's going to be phenomenal. That is already off the charts because Loida is involved. We know that Loida is a heavy hitter in this area. So Loida, you're an absolute phenomenal individual. So Shay, Dr. Shay Lillard, you couldn't have picked a better person to work with in this particular area. So
It was definitely it was a divine connection, because I feel like when a person is as driven as Dr. Lillard is and just knows what their goals are and what they're shooting for, it makes it so easy to just be able to show her the path, and she just takes off on her own. And that's why I love partnering with her. I love working with her because she knows exactly what she wants and how she wants it. And the ability to be able to just walk in and present herself with her branding. I mean, she's just taking off, and I really believe and know that she's going to be the next big, seafood seasoning brand, and providing the best seafood options for her customers. There's always a long line every time she's out there selling her food, and she's constantly getting booked. So there's no other reason why wouldn't I want to work with her?
So speaking of long lines, I'm just curious, Dr. Lillard, what is your best-selling dish, and why do you think that dish is so popular?
And delicious.
I think it's a tie between the upstate platter and the Shay's platter. Both of them are similar. The only difference is the Shay's platter. You get everything on the menu. You get your fried lobster, your choice of catfish or whiting, in two sides. The fried lobster is extremely popular. And the fried okra is very popular as well because people really can't get that around here.
Oh my! My eyes just rolled in the back of my head just now because I'm sitting there imagining and just envisioning, what this platter looks like, and I'm gonna take a trip one day. I'm gonna just have to fly up and test these dishes out.
Yes.
I know that again, if Lloyd is working with you, I know the dishes are phenomenal. I want to test them out myself, and
Yes.
I'm not going to tell you when I'm coming. I'm just going to pop up and
Pop up.
Listen, I was surprised that the whiting was my favorite. I was thinking the catfish, everybody raves about catfish. But when I tried her whiting, I was like, oh my gosh, I did not expect this. It was the best. And then of course her Shay sauce, that's coming.
Oh, and that's the next thing that I'm working on getting into stores as well.
Yes.
Awesome. So just again, I'm a curious person, Dr. Lillard. What separates your food truck from any other food truck out there?
First and foremost, we only specialize in seafood. Typically, when you find a food truck, they may have a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I've had so many people asking me to cater events, and can I fry fish and chicken, or can I do this? And the difference is that I stand firm on I only offer fresh seafood. Um, and I have yet to find a food truck that offers only fresh seafood.
That's key. I can tell you again, being an individual that was born and raised 45 minutes from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, right? That's one of the challenges that I have in Atlanta. There's only like one or two restaurants that I can go to where I can actually get fresh seafood, because most of the other restaurants, I can tell that the seafood pretty much has been frozen for a couple of days because the taste has really been lost.
Mm-hmm.
And so, just for the simple fact that you're offering fresh seafood, that tells me a lot about your business. That even elevates me even more to take that flight down to Delaware to test this seafood out because I know it's phenomenal because it's fresh. So venturing into this next question, our audience wants to know, those individuals may be interested, someday in starting a food truck, let's say outside of the Delaware area, and with regards to other markets, let's say such as Atlanta or DC.
Mhm.
They want to know, is this food truck business a lucrative business?
Absolutely, without a doubt.
So it is a lucrative business, and
Yes.
that's what they want to know. They want to know, can they make money off of this? And I can tell you that I'm in the suburbs of Duluth, Georgia, and every weekend there are food trucks out there serving the community, serving all sorts of different varieties of food. And I really haven't seen. I've seen only one seafood food truck that has ever come out. It was like a lobster roll food truck that
Oh
came
yeah.
out,
Hmm.
but I haven't seen too many that have come out. So, do you actually go out to events and festivals yourself?
I have. Hmm.
Okay, great, great. I'm just curious. Have you ever done a wedding?
I have not done a wedding yet. No.
Okay. Yeah, that I think that's something that would be unique to, pretty much see everyone's interest in terms of wedding, because I can actually see that happening to get it. Because again, you got to think about it. You're pretty much quote unquote per se going to serve everyone at the party. So the wedding party, pays a certain amount.
Hmm.
Come out to the food truck and obtain the food, and you're handling everything, right? So I can kind
Right.
of see that adding that unique twist or a unique flavor to serving the community. So let's
I have a
venture.
quick
Go
question
ahead.
along the lines of it being a lucrative business. I've noticed that with food trucks, you don't necessarily, it can be lucrative just by you showing up and posting up. It
Hmm.
doesn't seem like you have to do much marketing or promotion. I know some people that are interested in getting into that business may not be, tech savvy or social media savvy. So what tips or what do you have to add to that for people that are looking to do that and the success that they can find?
Well, I think part of it is definitely just showing up, but it's also about how you show up. So if you ever have come to my food truck, you see I'm always in uniform.
Yes.
Um, Typically, when I'm just walking around on a regular day, I'm always in something. So even if you don't have marketing dollars to kind of pour into social media platforms or things of that sort, um, just walking around in your t-shirt, just walking around in your hat. On the back of my t-shirt has my menu. So most people are looking in the back, and I'm getting stopped all the time about, hey, where are you? When are you gonna, so that's the way that
Yes.
I get people to come see me. Um, and I think just providing great customer service. I look back at all my comments often because it's so humbling. And that's one of the first things that people always say. It's great customer service. I try to connect with the people because word of mouth is priceless. When people feel good, they leave and they tell people about their experience. So, in terms of it being lucrative, you just got to show up. That's first, and show up your best each time, and ensure that you are actually providing great food. I mean, because I can have great customer service and I can show up in my uniform, but if the food isn't great, then the conversation changes. So, and I think people can feel that, I put a lot of love in the food. And
Mm.
preparing this food is not something I just kind of throw together. I'm very mindful each time we go out, because I know that the experience includes the food tasting really great.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
Hmm.
But to touch on the whole thing, I just because I think it's important, there's steps of really making money, and you really have to be out there. You know what I mean? If you're going to be out there every day, You have to choose some great hours. You have to choose a great location as well. I find that because I'm always looking at food trucks, sometimes they're sort of posted in these secluded corners and people don't really see them. I just happen to see them because I'm making you're making a turn and I got lost. You know what I mean? So
Right.
you really have to find a place that people are going to see you. And utilize what you can. So if you have social media, you definitely want to post that you're going to be here during these days and these hours, um, so that you are making money, but it is absolutely lucrative.
Awesome, awesome. And ladies and gentlemen, she was giving you, if you paid attention, she was giving you some tips and advice if you ever wanted to start a food truck. Because that's my next question, right? She's already given us some tips and advice, but it just, Dr. Little, is there anything else for individuals that want to get started with the food truck? Is there anything else with regards to tips that you want to share with them?
Oh man, I probably can go on and on about this, but I think the first thing that's most important in starting this business in any business, the being able to differentiate the yes and the no's, and not getting hung up on either one of them. For me, a yes, when someone tells me yes, that just means that we're going to move forward. If they tell me no, that means I'm just moving along. It doesn't matter to me, but it did in the beginning. So I tell people that you have to quickly get over this because it will be a lot of no's. And no's in this business with a food truck is simply asking someone, can I post up here? Can I post up in front of your business? And people might say no. Can I put my seasonings in your store? They may say no. But no, and the no is just for that term. It doesn't mean that you can't circle back and it might be a yes, but you can't be hung up on either one. Don't get too excited about the yeses either, because in business, people will tell you yes. And then when it gets down to signing on the dotted line, things change. And you don't want your confidence to sort of crumble because of that failed, quote unquote, failed yes. So I tell people don't get hung up on either one of those. In terms of business, you really want to focus on getting the business part right. Um, we as creatives, we get really hung up on being creative and wanting to get our ideas out that we fail to get the business part. Um, After I get off this call, I'm literally going to pay my business taxes. Things like that are very important, because if I don't, I can't renew my permit. Um, Making sure that things are copyright, because I have logos all over with my Shay Seafood and Soul with the vending machine, like things like that. We have to really devote time to ensure that the business part is correct, because that next move can be extremely major. You might get that call from a major chain and they're ready to get your seasonings in their store, but the business part isn't correct. So now you have to kind of backtrack to get all of this and you might lose out on a deal. So I even am really focusing on devoting time and sort of putting a day or two to just ensure that the business part is correct so I can be creative and free.
Those were some helpful nuggets for individuals to get started. Dr. Lillard, oh my God, you shared a wealth of information on here today. Look, guys, she said, in addition to just going out there with your food truck and serving the community, you need to make sure that business side is right. If you don't have the business side right, you're not going to be able to have the necessary permits and licenses to go out and serve the community. You're not going to be able to post up at high traffic gas station areas and serve the people of that area if you don't have the proper permits or licenses or permission. So guys, this is some very helpful information. Dr. Lillard, if they wanted to get in contact with you, I want to kind of put this in a twofold. If they want to, come out and pretty much obtain your seafood to eat, I want, you share the contact information for that. In addition to that, for individuals that are looking to, delve into the restaurant industry and or start a food truck, how should they contact you?
Sure. So I'll answer the second question first. I can be contacted at shayseafoodandsoul.com. I have a link there that if you want to contact me, you can always just fill out the form. I get that information directly to me. I'm on all social media platforms, Shay Seafood and Soul, Instagram and Facebook, and I am very active, so I will communicate with anyone who contacts me there. Um, and in terms of coming out to see me, so I am mobile. So I am all over the place. Typically, I'm in Smyrna, Delaware at 239 North DuPont Highway. But I'm working on a new schedule. I have so many people coming to me to see if I can post up here, here, here. So I'm going to list that information shortly. I'm also working on a summer tour. I want to sort of jump around some places. Last year, we went to a few places in North Jersey, all the way upstate New York. But we want to sort of see where else we can go. Maryland's, DC's of the world. Yeah, maybe even some else.
Tyrone is thinking about his hometown.
Yeah, so that's part of the, what I'm trying to cook up right now.
Awesome. Loida closes out, Loida.
Well, you guys heard it from the best. Tyrone, I appreciate you having this platform for us to be able to talk about business and be able to offer opportunities to other entrepreneurs to share their wealth of knowledge, such as Dr. Lillard has shared today. And for those of you that are watching, please make sure that you continue to follow us on YouTube at IMGTSOL, iManagement Solutions, and that you support our guest today, Dr. Lillard, and her website and her social media. And be sure to follow me as well on Instagram at Loida y Figueroa. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you guys today. And please, again, support iManagement Solutions YouTube channel so that we can continue to bring this type of content. Feel free to give us any feedback and things that you guys may want to share, or any guests that you guys would like for us to have on the show.
You heard it, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Shay Lillard of Shay Seafood and Soul. Thank you. We appreciate
Thank
you.
you
Have
for
a
having
wonderful
me.
day.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.